Welcome to our session where we're going to discuss what we call revenue analysis. Companies and institutions exist for many reasons, part of which is to maximize revenues, profits, and also sales. So revenue maximization is part of our core reasons for firms' existence. So I'm going to take you briefly into some preliminary calculations we call calculus. So I'll take you back to grade 12 where we're going to just learn how to differentiate. So we have a function given by y is equal to ax to the power n. So dy over dx, we're going to get n a x n minus 1. So if you have a y is equal to 5x to the power 4, so here we're going to have dy over dx. This is going to give us 4 times 5, which is 20. Then you subtract 1 from the power 4 minus 1. So dy over dx is equal to 20. Then here we have what? X to the power 3. So this is how we can differentiate this. Okay. Okay. So if you're going to have 10x to the power 5, how can we differentiate this? So be dy over the x, which is equal to 50 x to the power 4. Are you following?
Yes.
So if you have a constant number like 10, a derivative of a constant will give you a 0 because there's no letter. So we can later on have a multilinear function, y is equal to 6x to the power 5 minus 4x to the power 3 plus 5x to the power 2 plus 7. So the y, the x. Okay. So this will give us a 30 x to the power 4 because we apply this there. Then we have 4 times 3, which is 12 x to the power 2 plus 10x. So this is a derivative. All right. So what remains now is application. So 6 times 5 is 30, x to the power 4. 4 times 3 is 12, x to the power 2. 5 times 2 is 10, x to the power 1. And 7 drops out as a constant. So we also have an application that we need to understand. If we have total revenue is equal to 10q squared plus 5q plus 3. So we're differentiating the TR over the what? The Q. TR stands for total revenue. We differentiate it, it is called marginal revenue. So let's differentiate this together. What do we get? When we differentiate our total revenue, it becomes marginal revenue. So in this case, if we have our total cost as 10 plus 5q, so this will be the TR. You differentiate what is on the left, the TC, differentiate what is on the left against what is on the right over the TR. So when we differentiate total cost, it becomes marginal cost. So this is the 10 drops out and the 5q becomes 5. So using our language of differentiation, TR, just for lack of a better term, change the T to M, becomes marginal revenue. Total cost, TC, becomes a marginal cost. Profit or total profit, and differentiate it, it becomes the marginal profit. Okay.
Sorry, Collins. I just wanted to find out on the marginal revenue, the one just right above 20Q plus 5Q. Is the Q still supposed to be there on the 5?
No. The Q is supposed to be out. We'll skip the power 0. Thanks for that. Yeah. All right. So if we have a profit function, which is 1 over 3 q to the power 3 plus 4q squared minus 5Q minus 15. So the profit over the Q for the marginal profit. So 1/3 of Q is 1. We never write 1. 1 is always invisible. Or I can put it for the sake of explanation. Then subtract 1 from the 3 to get a 2 plus 4 times 2. What do we get? 8. 5Q becomes a 5. So this becomes our marginal profit, which is Q2 plus 8Q minus 5. All right. Are we following?
Yes.
All right, so we now go to another function. If we're dealing with a function to do with, say, utility, it has two variables, x to the power 4, y to the power 6. So du over the x. So here our y is our dummy. We're going to remain with what? 5x4. So 5 times 4 is 20. Then we subtract 1 from the 4, we get a what? A 3. So this is what we call our marginal utility of x. So you leave the y as it is. Okay. Then we go to our du over dy. This is marginal utility of y. So meaning du over dy, our x will be our dummy. So x to the power 4. So meaning we're going to differentiate 5y to the power 6. 5y6. So we're going to differentiate this. 6 times 5 is 30. And subtract 1 from the 6 to get a 5. So this is called the marginal utility of y. Let me do it quickly now. The view is equal to 10x to the power 2, y to the power 4. So the u over the x is called the marginal utility of x. So our dummy is y4. And you just differentiate in 10x what? 10x3. So here we're going to have 20x to the power 1. All following. Now try to differentiate du over the y. Let's see. Du over the y, which is called the marginal utility of y. I differentiate that.
So that would be 4 by 10, which is a 40.
4 by 10.
Yes, which will be a 40. 40x squared. And then y to the power 3.
Y to the power 3. Okay, that's correct. So this is what we call differentiation or implicit differentiation. Are we together? All right, so it also follows with output, which is Q, 10L3 K5. So the Q over the L, we have the marginal product of labor. So our K5 will be left as it is. Then you're differentiating 10L3, which is 30L2. Then the Q over the what? The K, which is marginal product of what? Capital. Our dummy in this case will be what? L3. We're going to remain with 10K5, which gives you what? 50K4 all together. So we call all these partial derivatives. I want you now to try to differentiate this function. You write on a piece of paper and tell me what you're going to get. L to the power 0.5, K to the power 0.3. So I'll give you 2 minutes. You can try. So if you're given a function like price is equal to 100 minus 2Q. So we need to find the total revenue, marginal revenue, average revenue, and maximize what? We maximize our revenue. So to start with, the formula for total revenue is price times quantity. So the price has already been given as 100 minus 2Q. The Q hasn't been given. So this one, we need to impute it. So multiply 100 times Q is 100Q. Okay. Then 2Q times Q is 2Q squared. Then we go to the marginal revenue. Marginal revenue is simply when you differentiate the total revenue over the quantity. So in this case, our total revenue is 100Q minus 2Q squared. So 100Q becomes 100. Okay. 2Q squared becomes 4Q. So this is how we find our marginal revenue. Then what follows next is to calculate our average revenue. Average revenue is when you divide the total revenue over quantity. So you need to split the quantity individually. So 100Q over Q, 2Q squared over Q. So this Q cancels with that, so we have 100. 2Q squared over Q, it is 2Q. So this is called our average revenue. In most cases, it is the same as the price, which we have there. Then they're asking us to now maximize the revenue. So maximize revenue, you need to equate the marginal revenue to 0. So that is to maximize total revenue. So in this case, we now have the following. 0 is equal to 100 minus 4Q. When this one goes aside, it will be a positive. 4Q is equal to what? 100. So we divide both sides by 4, even this side by 4. So our Q therefore, 4 into 10 is 2. Remember 2. 4 into 20 is 5. So our Q is 25. But we're not done yet. We also need to find our price. The price is what? 100 minus 2Q. So where there's Q, we put the what? The 25. So 100 minus 2Q. So where there's Q, put the 25. So this would be 100 minus 50, which is give us a 50. So the price that maximizes our revenue is what? Is 50. All right. So we now go to another question that I gave you. So we are told that our price is equal to 1,000 minus 4Q. So lead me, how do we find the total revenue?
So you multiply P times Q, the price times quantity.
So price times quantity. Yes. What is our P?
Yes.
Yes.
So the P is 1,000. 1,000 minus 4Q.
We get as our total revenue.
So that's 1,000 Q minus 4Q squared.
Okay. Then how do you find the marginal revenue?
So that would be D the TR over the Q.
All right. Then 1000 Q becomes what? 1000. 4Q squared becomes what?
8Q.
Great. So how do we maximize revenue? When MR is equal to what? 0. So we're going to solve for what? For Q. So what happens there?
So you take 8Q to the other side, and then you divide both sides, like 1000 divided by 8, and then 8 divided by 8.
All right. So what do we get?
That will come to Q is equal to 125.
Good. Q equal to 125. So how to find our P then? Substitute it in the original price function, which is 1000 minus what? 4Q. So where there's 4, we put 125. So this is 1000 minus what? 500. So meaning our what? Our P, therefore, equal to 500. So how do we find our average revenue?
So that will be TR, total revenue, over the Q.
Right. So our total revenue was 1000 minus 4Q, this one here. You can also at this point just put your Q there, just cancel and cancel. So meaning our average revenue was what? 1000 minus what? 4Q. So like I said, usually our average revenue is just the same as the price function. Let's go to our notes. I've already explained everything. Total revenue is price times quantity. Average revenue is total revenue over quantity. The marginal revenue is when you differentiate our marginal revenue. So the other aspect that you need to understand is cost theory. Cost is simply given by two key elements. So total cost will be the total fixed cost plus total variable cost. All right. So these two cost components make up what we call the total cost. So if we divide each of these ones by Q, our total cost becomes average total cost. Our total fixed cost becomes average fixed cost. Our total variable cost becomes average what? Variable cost. So this is one formula to know. And when we differentiate the total cost function as a whole, it will change from total cost to marginal cost. And to minimize the cost, we don't maximize cost, of course. Our marginal cost should always be equal to 0. Then the difference between total cost and total revenue is called a profit. If revenues are more than our costs, it's a positive, it's a profit. If the revenues are less than the cost, it's called a loss, negative profit. However, if the total revenues are equated to the total cost, we call this the break-even point. So under cost analysis, we must understand total revenue looks like this, marginal revenue, total cost looks like that. So at the point where total revenue is more than total cost, we call that the profit. So this is a profit. But the break-even point is where they meet. So maybe 3 and 5. This is called the break-even point. So below this point, we get a loss. Above this point is called a loss. So the profit range is within that range. All right, so if you're given a total cost of 40 plus 50Q plus 5Q squared. So which one is our fixed cost? The constant, which is 40. Which one is our average or variable cost? It's the ones with the letters 50Q plus 5Q squared. So you can put total fixed cost, total variable cost. But which one is our marginal cost? We differentiate the whole total cost function with respect to quantity. ETC over the quantity. So here we're going to have 50 plus 10Q. Average fixed cost is always when we divide the total fixed cost divided by quantity. So here we only have a 40. We leave it by quantity. We can't simplify it any further. How about average variable cost? When you divide the total variable cost over quantity. So here we divide by 50 by Q over Q there. So our average variable cost will be 50 plus 5Q. So these are the functions that we need to know. Right. So in this event where we have our price, which is given by 170 minus 5Q, and given the total cost as 40 plus 50Q plus 5Q squared. So let's find all the 14 functions that we can find here. To start with, what is our total revenue? Price times quantity. So your homework, by the way, let me just have these figures on top there. Your homework will simply be our price is got what? 85 minus 2.5Q. And your total cost will simply be 20 plus 25Q plus 2.5Q squared. So whatever I'm going to do in part A is what you're going to do as your homework in part B. Is that clear? So total revenue is what? Price times quantity. So our price is 170, quantity is 5Q. The Q you imputed. So here we're going to have 170 Q minus 5Q squared. Marginal revenue, we differentiate that TR over the Q. So in this case, we're going to have 170 minus 10Q. Maximize revenue. You're maximizing total revenue. You're not maximizing marginal revenue. When you're maximizing total revenue, we equate marginal revenue to 0. So marginal revenue is what? 170 minus 10Q. When the Q goes outside, it will be a positive. So our Q will be 170 over 10, which is 17. So meaning the price, when you put this 17 in here, it will be 170 minus 85, which is 85. All right, then the average revenue is in most cases the price itself. So here, whatever you're going to do, the average revenue is what? 5Q. 170 minus 5Q. Then we now go to cost analysis. Which one is our total fixed cost? The constant part of that, which is 40. The total variable cost, the variable part, which is 50Q plus 5Q squared. I'm from doing this question. The marginal cost, which is what? Differentiating this function. Give you 50 plus 10Q. What this I did. What I'm interested in is the profit. Now, how do we find the profit? The profit is simply the total revenue minus the total cost in brackets. Always remember to put the total cost in brackets. So here we found our total revenue as 170 minus 5Q squared. And the total cost is what? 40 plus 50Q plus 5Q squared. Now the brackets here are very important because they will negate everything that is in the brackets there. So in this case, we're going to have minus 40. Everything is negative there because of the what? Negative. So we put the like terms together. So 170Q minus 50Q. So minus 5Q squared minus 5Q squared minus 40. So here we're going to have what? 120Q minus what? 10Q squared minus 40. So that is our profit function. And the marginal profit is when you differentiate the profit over what? The quantity. So this is called our marginal profit. So here we're going to have 120 minus what? 20Q. 120 minus 20Q. That's the marginal profit. So to maximize the profit, we equate the marginal, it's marginal to 0. So when you equate this to 0, we're going to have 120 is equal to 20Q. So when you divide both sides by 20, our Q is equal to 6. When you substitute this Q, which is 6, into the original price function, remember our price was what? 170 minus 5Q. So when you put our 6 there, it will be 170 minus 30, which is 140. This is our price that maximizes profit, and this is our quantity that maximizes profit. So please do your homework. Your homework is part B. Unless there are any questions, speak now or forever hold your peace. Thank you.